Everything looks clear. I don't know who's going to see this or if anybody will ever see this because, you know, there is no internet anymore. There is no power, at least out here to the WWIII zone, as they call it. So I'm having to keep my voice down because I don't want to draw any attention over here while we're talking about this. But somebody needs to know in the future. Maybe my wife will come back around. Maybe she'll get out of that FEMA camp or whatever. I don't know, but I do know this. The year is 2026, and for the last 3 years, we've been hiding out in the woods. And not too long ago, lost my best companion, my dog, Ranger Boy, and that's been a real challenging time for the last several months since that happened. And so I've had to really keep my head on a swivel, even more so than before. And I'm hearing voices out here. Check that out. Okay, I don't see anything. But I got to catch you guys up. A lot of stuff's happened since the last time I made a video. Just a documentary, you know, a historical recount of what's been going on out here. And man, it's so hot and humid right now. My glasses are fogging up. But basically the New World Order took over. And they seized control of everything. They have these 15-minute cities already in the waiting, these smart cities that they've been working on for years, and they rounded everyone up all at once. And it was kind of a sudden surprise attack. I got a message on my phone that you were supposed to go to your house and stay there, and I was already over here on the land. Fortunately for me, it's the only reason that I didn't get rounded up. I'm over here, and you can hear there's still jets flying around, so I have to keep my head low and stay behind canopy as much as possible because they're still searching for people. They don't want anyone out here in the WWIII zone. So that being said, I'm a fugitive from the UN, and there is no more United States of America. It's all gone. The Constitution's gone. Everything disappeared all at once when people signed that contract to, you know, basically get large amounts of money handed to them for coming into the smart cities and inserting themselves into the matrix, is what I call it, because they're basically slaves to the machine now. Everything is provided for them. They have universal basic income. They paid these people millions of dollars in CBDC, fake money, to move into the smart cities. And so most people, you know, they sold their liberty out for the CBDC fake money stuff, and I just can't believe it. No one's allowed to come out here except for the uber rich. The uber wealthy rich elites can still maintain property, you know, like Bill Gates and, you know, people like that. You know, all these rich people. Can't think of that other guy's name, the guy that supposedly created the Georgia Guidestones. Ted Turner, people like that, they still have their big bunkers and their big pieces of land, and they're able to access that land. But people like me and you, we're not. And so I'm out here as a fugitive, just basically surviving, taking what I can from these abandoned homes that are around here, and that's been nice up until this point. There's been plenty of food, for the most part, I've been able to get a lot of water and stuff. At one point, I even got a couple of cases of those plastic water bottles, so that was great. Didn't even have to filter that water or anything, or boil it or anything. So some stuff has been really great. What has not been so great is I'm all by myself. Had my dog for a while, and that was good stuff because he just, you know, was there to keep me company and things, and keep a lookout, keep his head on a swivel so I could feel like I could get a little sleep. Now I've been having to sleep with one eye open all the time because, you know, you hear voices and you hear drone activity and airplanes and different things like this, and you just know they're out here trying to pinpoint the last few people that are holdouts, people that decided they weren't going to play ball and go along with the new system, the New World Order. So anyway, that's what we've been up to. Now, here's the good news. About, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago now, all of a sudden someone wandered onto my property and I recognized them. It was my friend Dan, my best friend for many years. We talked before everything went down that, you know, he could come out here if things got bad, and we would meet up out here and, you know, pool our resources, and we'd be a stronger force that way, right? Well, my buddy Dan is here now. He showed up, and he's got quite a story to tell. I don't know if he'll ever have time to come over here and tell you the story personally or not, but I'll relay it to you right now. He was in FEMA camp number 7, and it's about 3.5 miles to the southwest of us right here at this location. So not super far away, and it was a women's prison at one time. They converted it over to a FEMA camp. So they're basically keeping anyone that doesn't want to go into the smart city in these re-education camps is what they're calling them. So, and we all know what that means. Basically, giving up your rights, giving up your liberty, swearing allegiance to the UN and the New World Order, and basically promising you won't fight back, right? And that's what that's all about. And of course, he told me the last time he saw, about 6 months ago, my wife was still alive. So that just, in one way, it makes me really happy. In another way, it makes me really feel guilty, because I'm out here living somewhat free, and she's basically in a women's prison right now. Who knows what they're pumping her head full of? Probably playing videos of Klaus Schwab talking about how you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, and on and on and on. All this other globalist propaganda they were pushing down the throats of the masses. I certainly remember all that. It was terrible, and so many people fell for it. You know, that's the worst part. They used catchwords like sustainability and, you know, equality and things like that to trick people into giving up their liberties. And one by one, death by 1,000 cuts, eventually we landed here. United States of America is unrecognizable. Certainly not a superpower anymore. Everything's one world order, one world government. And, you know, we had, nobody could see it at the time, but actually it's weird that, you know, Putin and the Russians were actually fighting back against the New World Order. But nobody in the United States knew that, because, you know, our media was lying to us on such a level that they just made Putin seem crazy and like he was doing all this stuff for no reason except for he's a big bully, and on and on. I know, I remember that well. The propaganda at the end there was just so intense. You couldn't tell what to believe or what not to believe anymore. So anyway, me and my buddy Dan, we spend our days out here, and it's so much better now that I've got a friend to talk to and somebody to bounce ideas off of. That's been a huge game changer for me and my mentality, my personality, knowing my wife is still alive and knowing that there's a chance. You know, if Dan got out, and I didn't get to tell you the whole story, he got out, he escaped the prison camp, and I couldn't believe it. The story he was telling me and how he did it. What's interesting is that they're using a lot of digital surveillance, and so they don't have very many boots on the ground over there. And him and I are actually working on a plan. You know, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off with just me and him and our limited firepower that we have right now. I do have my AR, but I've only got like 5 mags left. And so, I mean, that's probably not enough to take down a whole entire prison camp. I mean, I don't know, maybe. From what he was saying, there was usually only 4 to 5 guards there at any given time. And the rest of the time, they're just using drones and other surveillance, you know, cameras and things like that to monitor the prison. And so he knows the layout of the inside of the place, because he spent, I think, a year, about a year in that prison camp. So he knows it quite well. And he's drawn me out a little map of what we need to do if we're going to take this thing on. So that's what we're trying to decide right now. We're trying to pool resources and gather resources from all around so that we won't be getting stuck with our, you know, pants down or something like that. So ammo has been harder and harder to find. We've pretty much picked over everybody's place all around here, and even canned foods and things like that are becoming scarce. We're having to go farther and farther. Last time, I think I was talking about a 5-mile radius that we had established around our camp here, but we've actually gone out to about 10 or 12 miles in most different directions, and we're finding very little. We have met a couple other people that are in similar situations. They're just hiding out and surviving, And most people are real skittish of each other. They don't want to talk to each other. They don't want to give away their, their hidey holes or their locations or what kind of stuff they have. But I did meet a guy about 8 miles down the road, I guess, and his name's Jim, and he seems like a good old boy, just a standard, classical, conservative-minded person, maybe libertarian-minded. And so we're establishing a relationship where hopefully we'll be able to get Jim to kind of come into our group, or we can join into Jim's group, whatever the situation may be, whoever has a better location. But we were able to establish a little bit of trading with him for some things we needed, like seeds and different things, because we're thinking long term. We're going to have to plant crops and get things to grow if we're going to make it through the winter, because again, resources are becoming more and more limited. And even though we've still got the pond, we've still got the fish, we've still got the wild edibles around here, in the winter months, that all drops down to almost zero. So you have to really plan ahead if you're going to survive in a situation like this, so but it is great having somebody else here, because now we can sleep in shifts and actually get some good sleep. And actually right now Dan's out on a patrol, just going around the perimeters, looking around, making sure he doesn't see anything unusual. And if he does, he'll radio me and let me know. We still do have radios, and that's the great thing. Jim has a way to charge batteries. He has a solar little miniature standalone solar power station. It's got like 2 or 3 panels and a trolling motor battery. And he's also got an inverter, so we can charge up our devices and stuff. And Jim has a radio as well, so we can talk, back and forth to each other when we're within range. He's about 8 miles down the road, so I have to actually go towards him a little bit to be able to pick up his signal. But anyway, it's not, it's not the worst as it could be. Again, 6 or 8 months ago, I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I'll be honest, there's been a few times I've thought about just turning myself in and giving up, mainly because of loneliness. To be honest with you, it's because I'm out here all by myself, and no one to help me carry the load, no one to help me cut wood, to make the decisions that need to be made on a daily basis, and just depression and stuff. But I was like, nah, I gotta hold out, because what if somehow my wife or my best friend Dan or some of my relatives start showing up here and I'm not here? That would be terrible. And plus, once you give into it, there is no turning back. From my understanding, once you've got the Neuralink, you can never escape, because they can track you from the implant in the back of your head, on your spine, or into your brain, or however that works. Unreal. So many people sold out. In the name of being lazy. They wouldn't have to do anything. They could just, remain drunk on comfort and never have to step up and do anything for themselves. Instead, Big Daddy UN's going to come in and take care of you. Big Daddy New World Order was going to come in and take care of all your needs. Hard to believe. They claim there's only 1% to 2% of us out there that haven't either been captured and taken to the re-education camps or inserted into a smart city, smart grid. So that's where we are today. People gave it all up. Someone famously had a quote years ago: when the United States goes out, it won't be with a bang, but a whimper. And honestly, really, it wasn't even a whimper. We just gave it all away. So anyway, I'm going to go out and meet up with Dan and see if we can't go out and scout out a meal for tonight, and maybe work on catching some fish or something like that. One other good piece of news is we haven't seen hardly any UN soldiers anymore, or drones. They've just kind of given up on it. And I don't know if they think they've cleared this area, or if they think that we're just not worth coming after. They'll just wait for us to starve out. I mean, it could be either one. So either way, I'm going to get out here and patrol what I've got left. And as long as I'm breathing, I'm fighting for liberty.